Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister breaks his silence on the Police Service's Order of Merit list. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Monday, 12th December 2022. Details when we return.
Win prizes weekly with the Dutch Lady Christmas promotion. You can win hampers, kitchen appliances, and much more. Here's how to win. Visit our Facebook and Instagram pages weekly to retrieve the recipe. Follow the recipe. Submit the final dish via email at dlchristmaspromotion@gmail.com, along with proof of purchase of Dutch Lady UHT or 410 evaporated milk. Recipes will be judged based on the display. Winners will be selected each week to battle for the grand prize in a live cooking show hosted by the creative chef. Look out for the Dutch Lady Santa Claus at supermarkets island-wide. The promotion runs from November 16th to December 21st, 2022. And once again, we'd like to congratulate the winner of last year's Dutch Lady Christmas promotion, Miss Brianna Bihari. Dutch Lady Milk, proudly distributed by Hubbard's Agency.
Welcome back. Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley denies any interaction with the Police Service's Order of Merit list, as one opposition MP has been asserting. Urvashitawari Rupnarayan of TV6 News has more.
The homicide rate continues to climb even as there is no substantive police commissioner at the helm of the TTPS. After a merit list was compiled and submitted to the President in August 2021, it was immediately withdrawn. A new Police Service Commission in January 2022 said it was embarking on a fresh selection process. But today, the Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, is taking opposition members to task over assertions made about him during the last process. A statement from the Office of the Prime Minister on Saturday said he was intent on ignoring opposition lies, but the Prime Minister says it has become too much to ignore. He picks a bone with Chaguanas West MP Dinesh Rambali, whom he says published that Dr. Rowley quote-unquote admitted to breaking the law and intercepting the Police Service Commission merit list at President's house. Dr. Rowley says, quote, "I have said no such thing." He explained he received a report on the operations of the Police Service Firearms Unit where he found certain information pertinent, and so he passed on a copy of the report to Chairman of the Police Service Commission. In his statement on Saturday, the Prime Minister says, quote, "I said publicly that I have never seen the merit list. No person showed or discussed any merit list with me, and I gave no instruction or advice to any persons about any merit list," end quote. In short, Dr. Rowley says he has not been party to the making or withdrawing of any merit list. He says it's wrong for MP Rambali to create lies in quotation marks, then ascribe his fiction as the Prime Minister's speech. In response, the Chaguanas West MP notes his letter to the editor appears to have greatly angered the PM. He calls the PM's post bizarre and unhinged, advising Dr. Rowley to seriously consider whether he's sticking to the contents of the release. MP Rambali says, quote, "Common sense would lead any reasonable-minded person to the logical conclusion that the said collapse of the Police Service Commission and vacancy in the substantive position of Commissioner of Police has had a detrimental impact on crime fighting and which no doubt has precipitated a record-high murder rate," end quote. Urvashitawari Rupnarayan, TV6 News.
The lower house of Trinidad and Tobago paid tribute to one of its own, former parliamentarian and Judge Herbert Volney, who passed on Wednesday. Urvashitawari Rupnarayan again reports.
Described as the quintessential Caribbean man, tributes were read in the lower house today on the passing of former Justice Minister and former St. Joseph MP Herbert Volney.
In looking at the man as a whole, one could say he was controversial, one could say he was flamboyant, and one can say he was vocal. And I think all of these adjectives are true. However, after all the reams of paper that have been printed about his political career, I will not go down that road this morning. Why? Because a wife has lost a husband, children have lost a father, and the Catholic community of St. Joseph has lost a valued member.
Diyal Singh says Volney wholeheartedly threw his support behind him in the past election campaigns and up to last week contacted him on issues within the constituency. Cabinet colleague while the People's Partnership was in office, Rudy Indar Singh, reflects on his 69-year-old colleague who passed away on Wednesday morning.
He carried out his roles and responsibilities with a sense of flair and a sense of wit, and a man of many words who expressed himself in varying styles and varying demeanors. And sometimes the way he would have put it across to you, you would remember him for that particular delivery.
MPs observed a minute of silence in tribute to his service.
Moving from the judiciary, where law is interpreted, to the parliament, where law is made, requires some reorientation. But Mr. Volney, from his contributions in this House, may have been considered to have adapted easily, contributing, and I dare say with fervor, to many debates, including the Anti-Gang Bill 2010, the Miscellaneous Provisions, Ministry of Justice Bill 2011, and the Legal Aid and Advice Amendment Bill 2011.
House Speaker Bridget Anisette-George says a letter reflecting the tributes would be sent to the Volney family. Urvashi Tamari, Ripurine, TV6 News.
St. Kitts and Nevis's budget presentation slated for December 14th. Andre Huey of SKN Newsline has a little more on that.
The annual sitting of the National Assembly to debate the financial statement and budgetary proposals for 2023 will be presented on December 14th at 10 a.m. at the National Assembly Chambers, Government Headquarters. The Cabinet has approved the 2023 draft estimates, the Appropriation 2023 Bill 2022, and the Appropriation 2023 Act 2012. A press release from the St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service said that the standing orders of the National Assembly pronounces that when the Minister of Finance has made his or her budget speech, the motion for the second reading of the bill shall be seconded and the debate thereon shall be adjourned to a time to be named by the Minister of Finance. Additionally, Section 71 of the Standing Orders of the National Assembly states that the debate on the second reading of the bill shall be confined to the financial and economic state of the state and the general principles of government policy and administration as indicated in the bill and the estimates. The Appropriation 2023 Bill 2022 is a bill to provide for the services of St. Christopher Nevis for the financial year commencing January 1st, 2023 and ending on December 31st, 2023. The National Assembly will be broadcast live on ZIZ Radio, 96 FM, and participating radio stations. It can also be viewed on TV Channel 5 in St. Kitts and Channel 98 on Nevis. It will also be streamed live at www.zizonline.com. Copies of the bill can be found on the website sknis.kn of the St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service under the section Bills when they become available. I'm Andre Huey for SKN Newsline.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
A recent comment from a member of parliament in Jamaica, Juliet Holness, has angered the opposition PNP. Remarks the party's general secretary described as disrespectful, insensitive, and reprehensible. Javine McLean of CVM Live reports.
General Secretary of the People's National Party, Dr. Dayton Campbell, did not mince words in discrediting statements by the JLP's Juliet Holness, which the PNP condemns as denigrating comments about Jamaican citizens living in marginalized communities.
There are thousands of Jamaicans who are, for the most part, descendants of slavery. And if we are fully aware as to what happened at the end of slavery, as to how persons were not given anything, they were just told that they are free. So there's a history of landlessness in this country. And persons, through no fault of their own, just out of desperation, they have resided in some areas that are vulnerable. Now, the people reside in those areas, they are not fully belonging to one political party or the other. Some of them support the People's National Party, some of them support the Jamaica Labour Party, and some of them support no parties at all.
Dr. Campbell believes Mrs. Holness is using her comment as a political ploy, creating division.
As to how somebody is trying to turn this into a political issue, it just displays how tribal, insensitive, and uncaring that individual would be. Because it has absolutely nothing to do with politics. It is an issue that requires government to step in and put a policy in place that can provide affordable housing to the citizens of the country.
This, the General Secretary says, is a disappointment.
And so I'm very disappointed that she would stoop to such low levels to try and ascribe some political color to the persons who reside in such locations.
Dr. Campbell says the PNP subscribes to the view that all Jamaicans deserve to live in pride and dignity regardless of their socio-economic background and their political affiliation. At the very least, those who are unable to do so must not be belittled and degraded by the well-off, such as Mrs. Holness. Javine McLean, CVM Live.
Canadians have been warned to exercise a high degree of caution when visiting Jamaica due to the high level of violent crime. Prince Moore of TVJ News reports.
According to the Government of Canada's travel advice and advisories notices, travelers entering Jamaica should exercise a high degree of caution due to a high level of violent crime. It advised its citizens that a state of emergency was declared in several parishes until December 19. The advisory says during this period, security forces have increased rights to conduct searches and seizures and detain persons of interest. It warned citizens that if they are traveling in the affected areas, they may be subject to searches by members of the security forces. Meanwhile, the Canadian government said violent crime, including armed robbery and murder, is a problem in large cities and tourist areas, including parts of Kingston and Montego Bay, despite the presence of police to counter criminal activity. It informed citizens that the availability of firearms is widespread and most violent drug and gang-related crimes, especially murder, involve firearms. The advisory further states that there is a risk of becoming the victim of crossfire in these areas and that tourists are also at risk of crimes of opportunity, especially theft and robberies. Canada told citizens that crime tends to be concentrated within what the police refer to as traditional hotspots or high-risk communities, but can take place anywhere at any time.
The General Secretary of the Antigua and Barbuda Workers' Union, David Messiah, has called on Prime Minister Gaston Brown to hold sincere discussions with former employees of LIAT.
Messiah said that the union has been calling for meaningful dialogue on the matter. However, he says Prime Minister Brown has refused to have any dialogue on the matter and literally said, take a 50% or leave it. But the union, which represents a significant amount of the staff, insists their workers will not accept the 50%. They have said that they will settle for nothing less than 100%. LIAT, which is owned by the governments of Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, Dominica and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, owes millions of dollars to its former employees, including pilots who, through their unions, have been demanding the payments owed.
The Food Fair Shop and Win promotion is back, better than ever. We are giving away $30,000 in prizes with the promotional activities you know and love, like find the misplaced items, spin the wheel, and other exciting in-store activities. You can win hams, turkeys, vouchers, cooking gas from Saul, and lunch packages from the Creative Chef. The promotion runs from November 16th to December 23rd, 2022. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.